Now, as the Independent Electoral Commission's voter registration weekend kicks off, several civil society organizations are questioning the delay in appointing the Electoral Reform Panel. Home Affairs Minister Dr. Motsoaledi had to establish the panel within 4 months of the commencement of the Electoral Amendment Act, which was to be implemented in October this year. We speak to the organization Undoing Tax Abuses Engagement Research Manager, Rachel Fischer. Thank you very much, Rachel, for your time this morning. We'll get into the deadlines in a few moments, but perhaps let's speak about this panel. What are the functions and why is it important?
Hello, Dudu, and hello also to all our viewers. Now, this panel has got certain functions that were included almost as a stopgap to address the concerns raised within the Electoral Amendment Act itself. So 3 core items were that before the 2024 elections, the panel must conduct research on different electoral systems that are of value and specific to the South African context. And then thereafter, after the 2024 elections, it has to engage in public participation to see what best suits the needs and the requirements of South African citizens in preparation for the 2029 and elections subsequent to that. And then, of course, this panel must report regularly to the minister.
When we speak about that, more so that prior to the 2024 elections, the panel must engage in research and consider the issues falling within its functions. Given that an announcement is yet to be made, we understand that OUTA submitted nominations for suitable candidates for the panel. Are you able to share with us who those candidates are?
Well, I did not ask their permission whether I could share their names, but I can indicate that they were representatives from other civil society organizations, such as a former employee of My Vote Counts, as well as a private citizen that is an expert in electoral processes, as well as a representative of the Independent Candidates Association, that currently has got a case pending within the Concord regarding the Electoral Amendment Act.
Ultimately, if we are understanding this correctly, is that this is important because of the research that will be done that will then inform the next general election in the country. What is it that OUTA is arguing in terms of why this delay is problematic for you at least?
Well, yes, so that's one of the issues, right? Because this panel had to be established already at least by the end of October. Because this act came into effect officially in June of this year, according to Electoral Amendment Act, the panel had to be established within 4 months. Now, we have passed that deadline. So with this panel not yet being established, bearing in mind many other entities have made their nominations, and we don't know yet the date of the elections taking place next year, there's an undefined period in between in which this research must take place. So the longer it's being postponed, the longer we know this research is going to take place. Now, if we compare it to past experiences, based on what occurred within the Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs, within that 2-year period that the Concord gave, many delays took place, which led to the delays in the act being declared. So we have already lost confidence that this panel will be established, that they will be able to do the work they need to do, and that there will be knock-on effects not only for 2024, but also for the 2029 elections.
What would those knock-on effects be?
So first of all will be the delay in really achieving meaningful electoral reform, and that is one of the core concerns. Now, we know that Parliament dragged its feet for at least 18 months, in which it can be argued they could have achieved what civil society and citizens wanted it to achieve, according to the Concord's mandate. So if they argue that the 2-year period was not enough, we can already see at least with 4 or 5 years ahead of us that should be fine, right? But if this panel has got additional delays, and let's say that gets pushed by another 2 years, we are sitting with approximately 2 to 3 years for meaningful reform to take place, which might have implications on the Municipal Demarcation Board, because we are arguing for a mixed system between PR and a constituency-based system, which then means the constituencies need to be redrawn. So currently our constituencies are actually the provinces. So we've got 9 provinces or 9 constituencies. For the reform to be argued for is to have more constituencies and smaller, and these will require intervention by the Municipal Demarcation Board. So the longer the knock-ons are getting closer to the 2029 elections, the less the chances are for these changes to be effected, because it has implications on other acts and other entities that need to establish those guidelines.
Okay. How will more constituencies but smaller assist? Hello, Rachel. Are you still with us?
Dudu, if you can please repeat that. I lost your sound.
You mentioned that you're calling for more constituencies because currently we've only got 9 broken up into the different provinces. But you're calling for more constituencies but smaller. How will that assist as compared to the current system that we have?
Yes. Look, so we are not arguing at all against a PR or a proportional representation system. Having a PR system is absolutely mandated within our constitution, so that is not going to change. We are arguing for a hybrid system that mixes the constituency and a PR-based system. The reason being, and this is why electoral reform and meaningful electoral reform is so important, because based on our current experiences, what we are seeing is a lack in accountability. So if we have members in parliament representing us as citizens, but they are failing to look after our needs and failing to act responsibly, we want to hold them to account, right? But the problem is most of us as citizens have no idea who our members of parliament are, and we also don't know where to reach them, where they live, and we don't know how to engage with them if we are experiencing issues. So we cannot hold them to account. Now, if we have more constituencies, smaller spaces, and imagine it a lot like our local government, where we have ward councillors. Many of us have our ward councillors, or hopefully we do, on a WhatsApp group, so that we can contact them if we have any issues. And that is the same idea, that if we have a person representing our constituency, chances are better that we know them, we know where they live, and we have their contact details. So if we see street lights are out, or there are potholes, or there are issues that's concerning, we can reach this person directly and hold them to account. And if they don't do what they are supposed to do, we can put pressure on them and hopefully, get them out and get somebody better that can serve our needs.
Okay, let's follow the timeline because the Act was gazetted in April this year. It took effect in June this year, and you argue that technically the panel should have been established by the 19th of October. I'd like for us to get into this word technically it should have, but just based on everything you have said, has there been engagement on your part as OUTA with the Home Affairs Minister? Have you reached out to find out why there's been no announcement on the panel?
Absolutely, we did. So we did publish our press release last week or 2 weeks ago. And following on that, because we didn't get any responses from anyone within Parliament, we also submitted an official letter to the Secretary of the Portfolio Committee of Parliament, as well as the Chairperson, Mr. Motsoaledi, and we reached out to the Minister's office. So we did get a response. We got a response this week indicating that the Portfolio Committee invited the Minister to brief the Portfolio Committee next week on Tuesday. That's when they have their Portfolio Committee meetings. So on the 21st of November, the Minister ought to report back to the Portfolio Committee on this panel. We are concerned because this is most likely the last Portfolio Committee meeting for this year. So chances of it being established this year is pretty much naught, which means it's only going to roll over onto next year, most likely only February. So we can see an immediate delay, and we are not really convinced that there is a political will to get this important panel established.
I'd like for us, Rachel, to visit this word that you used. Technically, the panel should have been established by the 19th of October 2023. Why technically?
Because it was mandated by the Act. There is a specific clause, Clause 23, that was inserted that actually spells out that this panel needs to be established within 4 months. And we all responded to that. Initially, interested civil society organizations already submitted their nominations when the Act was gazetted in April. But we had suspicions that it hasn't really taken effect. And then we also followed up with the Portfolio Committee and the Minister, which then led to the proclamation of June. And then we resubmitted our nominations. So there's no way, there is no gray area in this interpretation. It stands as it currently is in the Act itself, as amended, and as I said, Clause 23.
Okay, thank you so much, Rachel, for your time this morning. Rachel Fischer, Outer Parliamentary Engagement and Research Manager.